About a week ago, Donald Trump referred to members of MS-13 as animals. And we pointed out, as many people did, that it kind of sounds like he's continually using that not just to describe MS-13, but all undocumented immigrants more generally. And we were told that we were being unreasonable. Okay, well now we come to this week, and he gave a speech about MS-13 and immigrants. And here is what he said.
But they exploited the loopholes in our laws to enter the country as unaccompanied alien minors. They look so innocent. They're not innocent. We are praying for these families with us today, and we pledge to honor the memory of those you lost with action and resolve, and I'll just add another word, with great success.
So that is what he said. And what you'll notice is that he was talking at the latter half till the end about MS-13. And so you might think, well, wait, in that first part where he's saying they're not innocent, is he talking about MS-13? He was not talking about MS-13. He was saying that these unaccompanied alien minors, which you've probably never heard that term before, because what he means is children who were brought across the border who are not citizens. He has come up with a way to alienate them in terms linguistically. They're not innocent because they came across the border. They might have been, 3 months old or a year old or 6 years old. We keep calling them innocent. They're not innocent, and we're here with the families of those MS-13 is killed. He flowed directly from one sentence to the next. Either he doesn't know that those dreamer babies aren't in MS-13, or at the very least, he desperately doesn't want you to know there's a distinction. So after we were told we're being unreasonable in saying that he's calling all immigrants animals, he now gives a speech where he 9/11 Saddams, 9/11 Saddams, 9/11 Saddams, dreamer babies in MS-13 to make you think those children are murderers and rapists.
I love that you drew the parallels between the Bush administration and how they purposely muddied the messaging in regard to 9/11 to garner support to do a preemptive war in Iraq, even though Iraq and Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with 9/11. Yes. We're seeing something similar with Trump, but with Trump, there's always this wild card. And what I mean by that is, is he implementing a strategy, which could be possible? Remember, he has the Stephen Millers of the world, advising him. And Stephen Miller is a deplorable human being, but he's not an idiot like Trump is. And so maybe he's following along with what his advisors are telling him, or maybe it's not a strategy and he's just an idiot and he's, accidentally mixing up two groups of people. I don't think it's an accident. I think it is a strategy. But I will say this. Our policies in regard to weapons and drugs have a ripple effect throughout the world. So why are unaccompanied minors showing up to the United States? First of all, if you're a parent, would you be okay with sending your kid to another country unaccompanied? You wouldn't be unless you're desperate. And these people are desperate. Yes, MS-13 is comprised of animals, some of the most horrible human beings imaginable. Yeah. But why is MS-13 and other gangs and cartels, why are they so powerful in countries like Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador? It's because of our forced prohibition of drugs throughout the world. We're not gonna give you guys any foreign aid unless you prohibit these drugs. And it's also the fact that we're a giant weapons manufacturer, right? That is one of the top things we manufacture in the country. And that is traded throughout the world. Our policies directly impact gangs in Latin American countries. Yeah. And so why don't we solve that problem so parents aren't in the type of situation where they're so desperate that they have to send their kids to a different country as refugees for safety. That's what's going on.
Yeah, and from countries that we have repeatedly destabilized in the last 100, 200 years.
Exactly, yes.
And then we're shocked when they are unstable. And speaking of unstable, I don't think it's an accident either. I think that he is intentionally going back and forth between one and another. It is a trick. He is attempting to trick you into thinking that these kids who are the definition of innocence, that we know all the stats show that they have higher home ownership rates when they grow up, they're more likely to join the service, they're more likely to complete higher education, they have lower crime rates, all of that. You have to take all of that reality and then put it behind a curtain, and in front of it, you put a gang member who has just murdered a cop. By the way, at that same meeting, he talked about in this one town, they'd murdered a cop. The police later had to release a statement. They didn't murder a cop. They said that they wanted to murder a cop, but they didn't actually do it. But why should the president why should he have to know? He can just say that they murdered a cop even if they didn't. It is just a trick. He has found a way to try to, I guess, hide himself from criticism. If I occasionally talk about MS-13, who's objectively a group of horrible people, then I can say whatever I want. You don't get to attack me. That's an interesting tactic. Maybe we should start using that. If we're against right-wingers, okay, I'm just gonna talk about a right-wing extremist who tries to blow up an abortion clinic. And then I'm gonna talk about Tommy Lauren. And then I'm gonna talk about someone who attempts to blow up a government building in Oklahoma City. And then I'm gonna talk about another right-winger. I mean, can I just do that? Am I immune to criticism then?
I would exclude people like Tommy Lauren because she's not an extremist. I think that she actually is pretty representative of what the party thinks. Just keeping it 100.
It doesn't matter, it's a tactic. I can include anyone I want.
That's true, yeah.
I talk about an animal terrorist, and then I talk about Sean Hannity. I talk about an animal shooter, and then I talk about Tucker Carlson. It's a great strategy. I think I'm gonna start to use it more.